Welcome to a special little school bus edition of Black Man Spy. And this is the Prigozhin Paradox episode. Why am I doing this in the middle of the week when I should be doing an entire podcast full of interesting and exciting things and great guests for you? Because Yevgeny Prigozhin, Vladimir Putin's man of mischief, who was the founder of PMC Wagner, which is their mercenary force that operates throughout the Middle East, Africa, and was the main combat force in Bakhmut, Ukraine, apparently lost his mind. But he lost his mind in a seemingly, how can I put it?
What the f***?
What he did was he withdrew all of Wagner's forces from the Bakhmut front, and 18 hours ago apparently took those forces, seized the Russian city of Rostov-on-Don, which was the headquarters of the Southern Military District, and essentially took over a city that had all the logistics, command and control, and resupply for the Russian army in Ukraine. But that was not enough. He claimed that he was doing this in order to get back at the commander of the Russian armed forces who attacked his mercenaries in their base camp. And so he took his 25,000 men and started to march on Moscow up the M4 highway. And all throughout today were breathless reports, video reports of PMC Wagner engaging in combat with Russian forces, shooting down 3 helicopters and killing a crew of a airborne communications post, command post that was flying near his forces. He got to within 200 kilometers of Moscow and then suddenly cut a deal with Vladimir Putin and decided he would bring all those forces back to Rostov-on-Don. He would surrender himself, be shipped off to Belarus with no criminal charges, and PMC Wagner would be forced to join the Russian army or to be allowed to go to their mercenary camps in Libya, Mali, Central African Republic, and Sudan. It's a bizarre story that had us changing information every few minutes. But Malcolm, why would he do this? Well, as you know here on Black Man Spy, we understand that what we call the Whiskey 5 Hotel, who, what, when, where, why, and how, is not as important as just the one word why. Why did he do this? Why did he pressure Putin? 2 stories came up. One, that it was a pantomime, that he was actually a puppet that was being manipulated as controlled opposition for Vladimir Putin in some way to bring PMC Wagner forces under control of the military. Or 2, he was serious as a heart attack, intended to take Moscow, carry out a threat of a second 1917 revolution, and plunge Russia into a civil war. And this morning, 12 hours ago, that's exactly what we were saying. Russia was on the verge of a civil war. But since no actual major combat broke out between Wagner and the followers, the Akhmat of the Kadyrov clan, which is the Chechen side of Vladimir Putin's supporters, nothing happened. Russia did not plunge itself into civil war. And then Yevgeny Prigozhin decides he is going into exile in Belarus. Interesting. Any other person in Russia, they would be dead men walking. And it's quite possible, even if this was an entire act by Prigozhin or was a sincere form of civil war and pressuring the Moscow regime by going after the capital city and possibly taking control of the country, Vladimir Putin cannot afford to have Prigozhin alive. So I look forward to Yevgeny Prigozhin's terrible accident, crashing from the sky while dying from a heart attack at the time that he was being shot and stabbed in the back while dying from poison on landing in Minsk, Belarus. There's no way Yevgeny Prigozhin is going to survive this. Even if he was Putin's puppet, Putin could not afford him to be alive to tell this story. So instead of a very long Black Man Spy episode, I've given you in a nutshell some of the answers to the questions that people have. But the big question I'm sure you're all asking yourself is why? Why did all this happen? Don't worry about it. No one is going to figure this one out for some time. Even if Prigozhin comes out and makes a statement, you can't be sure that it's the truth. He somehow cut a deal with Vladimir Putin, and as one of Putin's oldest friends, is going to somehow manage to survive this? Not a chance. I've sat in Vladimir Putin's desk at his KGB office in Dresden. And when all his fat KGB buddies were all out drinking beer and hanging out in East Germany with their families, Vladimir Putin was the young, ambitious officer that was trying to manipulate people into becoming spies. This guy was humiliated today. And the only way that you can absolve humiliation for a dictator like Vladimir Putin is to take a very long walk off a very short 20-story high building or to wake up dead. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep following this, and every day I'm going to put out an updater to this story because this requires me to stay on my feet. So tune back into Black Man Spy podcasts. Keep your eye on the Substack. Subscribe if you like what I'm doing because this is the way that I'm giving my information now. Twitter has turned into an entire hellhole of idiocy to the point where even Elon Musk laughed at one of my comments today from some idiot. So you need to get the information that you need. I'm going to start providing it in real time. So again, come back and see for the next episode of Black Man Spy.